from all over the world, which is amazing. Mostly from Europe, which is amazing because that's where I live as well. So thank you guys and welcome to this training. So we're going to be training you about e-commerce and pretty much going over how to use Hello Bar on e-commerce to get the maximum impact for your marketing. So Jared, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vignesh. And, Lindsay kind of touched on this earlier, but one thing that makes these kind of calls go really cool is just your participation out there. So if you're in Thailand or France or wherever, ask us questions, leave us comments. Kind of what we want to do today is talk about email acquisition and e-commerce. And this is something that I've been involved in for over 13 years. So I guess that makes me seasoned. And so when I get on the phone and talk about these sort of things with Vignesh, who is like one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, it's usually a really fun time. Wouldn't you say so, Vignesh?
You give me too much credit, Jared, but I would say, yeah, there's nothing better than marketing for sure. So, yeah, I would say so.
Awesome. And I don't know if everyone can see my screen or not, but I just kind of wanted to start off and say, if you are not utilizing Hello Bar as a tool on your website, whether it's e-commerce or lead generation, you are absolutely missing out. Okay, absolutely. An incredibly powerful tool. So this pop-up that I'm showing here, it's taken years to get where we are. But it has been an incredibly profitable pop-up for us. This one pop-up alone, and by the way, we do something like 10 to 15 different means and methods of acquiring emails on our website, okay? So this is just one of them, but this one does really well, and it gathers about 1,500 emails a month. That's like 1,500 leads that we can try to convert into sales or fans or blog readers. So it's an incredibly powerful pop-up. I'm going to talk a little bit more later about all the different types of pop-ups and email acquisition tools that we use. And so hopefully it'll be a really cool, fun time to go over those and tell you what's working and get you guys started down the path of making sure that everyone who reaches your website turns into someone that is not only in your audience, but also engaged with your brand or your website. How does that sound, Vignesh?
I would say that sounds amazing, Jared. And yeah, we should get right to it. And guys, if you have any questions while we're going through these concepts, we're going to be covering some, we're going to start off like a little bit of the fundamental and the basics, and then we're going to go, climb up to like intermediate and towards advanced. Now, as we're going through that, you're probably going to have a bunch of questions. So drop them in the chat. We're going to make sure that we answer them at the end of the call in the Q&A section. And yeah, without further ado, Jared, yeah, I think we should get into it.
Sounds good, man. Cool. So kind of how I want to get started with this might surprise you. But I actually don't want to talk about how to use Hello Bar and what pop-ups to use and things like that just yet. First, I want to take a couple steps back and look at the big picture. And this is where people who are in e-commerce tend to go wrong with regards to gathering emails and building their audience, okay? So kind of how I look at it is, first of all, how are we getting our traffic, okay? What are our traffic sources? We have a lot of different people joining this call. And so there's some people on the call that are going to be really advanced and some people that are just kind of getting going. So one thing that I should mention is if you have not set up Google Analytics on your website, definitely do that. There's a report you can easily run that will tell you where exactly your traffic is coming from. Is it from content marketing or your blog? Is it from paid search? Is it from Facebook? Is it organic, etc.? Being able to identify where your users are coming from is going to be very, very key for how we serve them the creative that invites them to join our email list. I'm going to repeat that really quick. Where the customers are coming from, where the traffic is coming from, is going to greatly influence how we serve our visitors, creatives, to invite them to join our email list. Okay, it's very important. So making sure you understand that first is key. And segmenting the offers that we send to the different traffic sources is a key to, I would say, my website success for sure. So like, for example, one of my websites does a lot of paid search. And in general, over the years, we do a lot of split testing with our pop-ups, which I will talk about later. But what we have found over the years is, for whatever reason, people who are clicking on paid search ads are really into getting coupon codes or discounts or free gifts. So whenever we serve creative through a pop-up or something like that to someone that comes from paid search, we always make sure it has some sort of a coupon code, discount offer, or free gift. And so that's just kind of one example to let you know what I'm kind of getting at. The second thing I wanted to talk about is we need to greatly understand, now that we know where our traffic is coming from, I want to know everything about our visitors that we are attracting. So if I had you all in a room right now, I'd ask you all to raise your hand, and I'd ask you the question to say, raise your hand if you have a customer avatar created for your target user or the person that visits your website the most. And if you're not familiar with it, a customer avatar is kind of like a one sheet. You can just Google it, like customer avatar worksheet. It's usually a worksheet that defines your target customer, or rather the customer that visits your website the most. We have one, and her name is Karen. She's about 42 years old. She has 2 kids that are in college. She makes a lot of money, and she's like a CFO, and it's very detailed, and yours should be too. So the question that usually comes up is, okay, I'd like to make one of those, or I have one of those, but how do I make it more detailed? So if you need to make one, in general, if you have Google Analytics set up properly, and if you have Facebook and your Facebook pixel set up properly, you can go into the demographic reporting in both platforms and learn amazing details about each customer, male or female, age range, interests, what politicians they follow, where they live. It's like absolutely crazy. So what I would start off with is, I'd say, first, let's make sure we know where the traffic's coming from. And let's make sure we know everything we can about the majority of our visitors. How is this all sounding, Vignesh?
I would say, my friend, that is sounding epic.
Okay. You guys can see where I'm going with this, though, right? Because, like, we don't want to serve the wrong offers, the wrong colors, the wrong call to action, the wrong creatives to our audience. You know, we want to create an emotional connection, even at the pop-up or the email acquisition level. I'm going to talk about that a little later, but if we understand who our customer is, like, I know my customer is Karen. And so I actually created this pop-up that's on the screen share. And you will notice there's a lot of pink involved. You'll notice that the font is very large because Karen has reading glasses, okay? And the other thing that's kind of, subliminal, which is kind of cool, is it's actually like a little jar of lotion that you're looking at. If you look, like, the background, literally, we opened a jar of lotion and we took a picture of it. And over the years, we converted from like a square pop-up over to this like round jar of lotion. So it really sticks out. Does that all make sense?
Jared, that is just some of the best stuff I've heard in a while. So yes.
So you could see how like that connects with our customer, you know, and you may be in the auto industry. I don't know. You may be selling stuff on Amazon, but once you figure out the traffic sources and everything you can about the customer avatar, and by the way, you may have a few different customer avatars. That's okay. I've seen companies create different customer avatars for each traffic source. You know, you can go really crazy with this, but we're not going to go too crazy today. We're going to kind of start with the basics and get a little bit technical. So I think whether you just start now or whether you are, you know, a seasoned veteran, you'll still get to learn quite a few things today. So I think next I wanted to talk about something that I call the Turkish Bazaar. Vignesh, have we ever covered this before?
I don't believe so.
The Turkish Bazaar. Okay, so what is a Turkish Bazaar? I learned about it like from watching TV, and it kind of refers to like a street sale that you'd walk down, like in Turkey, that where they're like street vendors are selling different random items, and it's like completely overwhelming because like there's so many items hanging from these carts, and none of them really make sense. It's like a flea market, and people are yelling at you, and so on and so forth. Basically, what I'm talking about is websites that are overdoing it. Okay, when you have a tool like HelloBar, and when you're trying to acquire emails, it's actually really easy to overdo it. Okay. We could have an entrance pop-up. We could have an exit pop-up. We could have a bar at the top and bottom. We can have sliders coming in from both sides. You know, we can even ask for emails with forms and things like that, right? So yep. Once you know where the traffic's coming from, and once you know who the customer is, it's actually going to really help you make sure that how you're acquiring emails is not like completely overdoing it. Okay. So we've all been on a website where like you can't even like buy something because there's way too many things happening. Like there's too many pop-ups, like there's too many videos. Like I don't even know how to like X out or cancel this pop-up to get around it to buy the product that I want to buy. Like, don't do that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes the best way to do it is almost like in a way where they didn't even realize what they just signed up for. So like, let's make sure that we're not over triggering and overdoing things. So whenever I install a new pop-up technology, what I do is I actually will go ahead and use Google Analytics. They have a little feature called annotation, and I'll annotate my website. Every day I install a different or new form of a pop-up. What we don't want to do is tick off customers, and what we don't want to do is tick off Google, right? And right now Google gets a little ticked off if you do welcome pop-ups incorrectly. So we kind of discourage that, you know, to start. So when you annotate your website and when you take a pop-up live, let's make sure we watch our traffic, watch our conversion rate, watch a lot of the key metrics, and make sure that nothing goes south. If it does, let's not use that pop-up. Let's do something else. Let's think of something else. But the point here is we don't want to overdo it. And also, you know, we don't want to do anything to our website that hurts like our traffic or gives us, you know, sends bad signals to our traffic sources like Google. Vignesh, anything to add? Do you feel like I'm covering this, you know, the way I should?
I think you are, my friend. One thing we may want to do at the end is just give them a demo of what we're talking about, like a good website versus your own website, so on, so they can see the comparables. That would be epic, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. You know, generally when I come across a bad website, I get away as fast as possible. So I actually don't have a bad example offhand, but we could kind of like go through my website and I could show people everything that we do. And I think that could be kind of inspirational, you know, to a lot of our users, right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So we're not going to overdo it. And I think the next thing I wanted to touch on too is the power of split testing. Okay. HelloBar is an incredibly powerful tool. And I think one of the coolest things about it is it's super easy to set up a split test. Okay. So what I would say is for every single pop-up or bar or slide-in or whatever that you're creating, I want you at the same time to create a split test for that. It's really easy to do. And basically, when I say set up a split test, a lot of people think it's going to be this like drastic, huge task where they have to like design a completely different pop-up or something like that. But actually, it's not. Okay? You can actually just split test the text or the CTA or something really small. The idea here is we want to be constantly improving, okay? So the pop-up that I'm showing on my screen is the result of about 8 years of split testing, okay? You can pretty much learn something from every split test you run. It does need to be drastic enough of a split test so that customers know and can decipher the difference between them. Like, basically, the best way to split test is to kind of come up with a hypothesis. So like if I was going to split test the pop-up that's on my screen, maybe the first thing I'd do is test 10% off, and I'd test that against 15% off. And I'd see if I get more signups for 15% off, and I'd take those emails and I'd see if more of them converted on my site. So that would be a great split test. Another great split test would be instead of submit in the pink button, I've actually never really liked that word, but for whatever reason, it converts well. You could say something like sign me up instead of submit and see if that converts higher. The point here is the split test doesn't have to be super labor intensive, but it does have to have a plan and a hypothesis. And I want you to do them every single time you set up an email acquisition. Vignesh, how am I doing? You sounding good?
Yep, Jared, you're doing great, for sure.
Love it.
So, yep.
Awesome. Well, I think next I kind of want to talk about the types of opt-ins and how we use them. And I also want to talk about mobile versus desktop. And hopefully we got some questions coming in. So feel free to keep those coming. So we tend to sort of categorize our sites in a few different ways when we're setting up pop-ups, okay? We do a lot of content marketing. So we kind of handle our blog a little bit different than the rest of our e-commerce site, okay? And also, we always handle mobile differently than desktop. These days for e-commerce, when I go into a site's analytics, in general, I'm seeing 60 to 70% of the traffic coming over mobile. And I'm seeing the rest coming over desktop, okay? So basically what this tells me as a website owner is that I actually need to design my website and my pop-ups first for mobile. And this is completely counterintuitive to traditional thinking. When just maybe 3 to 5 years ago, we would always design on desktop first. But as mobile phones have gotten better, as advertising has gotten broader, things like that, now people are just visiting on their mobile phones. So things need to load fast and they need to render well on mobile. And we absolutely need to be serving email acquisition creative over mobile, as well as desktop, right? So the types of opt-ins that HelloBar offers, you're probably familiar with, but just to go over them real quick. Let's see. So obviously we got the Hello bars you can throw up at the top and bottom. We got the pop-up modals on entrance and exit. We've got slide-ins and we've got full screen overlays, right? So you have quite a bit you can choose from and split test and so on and so forth, right? So what I would say is, if I had to start, say you're listening today and you're kind of getting started. Well, first of all, welcome, and we're stoked to work with you. Second of all, if someone had to strangle me and say, which pop-up or which email acquisition technique do you want to use? You're only allowed one. If I was put in that position, it'd be a really easy answer. And so what I'd tell you is, if you're doing nothing right now, the first thing you should do is set up an exit pop-up, okay? And do it for both mobile and desktop. Make sure it only fires when they go up to click the little X on the tab. And I would absolutely use, for both mobile and desktop, the full screen overlay. In general, that is the best way to catch people as they're leaving your site. And of course, if we are catching the emails properly and then serving them the right email drips afterwards, many of them will eventually collect into sales, which is awesome. That's the point, right? So the exit pop-up, I think, is where you really need to get started. Let's see. So what I would say is the hello bars on the top and bottom can be really effective as well, but they can be a little distracting. So what you may want to do with those is test them on certain pages and block them on others, right? Slide-ins can be really awesome. We use slide-ins on some of our pages as well, and they can trigger based on some certain user behaviors. So let's kind of break it down further from there, okay? On my e-commerce site, okay, in general, the exit pop-up is probably the most important tool for desktop and mobile. Now, if you're a brand, I usually do not recommend entrance pop-ups on your e-commerce website because it can be a little intrusive. We have a website that's more like a marketplace. And so you'll notice you go shopping on a bigger brand or a bigger marketplace site that oftentimes you will be served an entrance pop-up. And you just have to evaluate if that's right for you. You have to be really careful about them on mobile and desktop to make sure you're not kicking Google off. And you generally want to delay them a certain amount of seconds before you serve the creative, right? But if you go on a huge website like, I don't know, like potterybarn.com, and you've never been there before, in general, you will get a welcome pop-up. And they can be very, very effective. I just tend to tread very lightly because they can really piss off Google if you overdo them. And if, like I said, if you're a brand, they can be a little bit pesky and you don't want to overdo it and turn your website into a Turkish bazaar, right? So if that is your fear, instead, I actually really like using the hello bar on top. And whenever we run a sale on our e-commerce website, we actually put a hello bar at the very top of our website that lists the sales and specials that are going on. Like we just did one for Valentine's Day. So at the very top of our website, you saw a hello bar that lists, the sales that we're offering and a little place that they could sign up to get the coupon codes that we're offering. And that tends to increase our conversion every single time. Pretty awesome. So slide-ins, we tend to use those on our, we sell a lot of other skincare lines on our website. So when people visit a particular brand's page, we sometimes use the slide-ins on those particular brands page to collect people who are interested in particular brands. So those can be a really effective tool as well. What I would not do is once someone's in your checkout, make sure you don't serve them any creative. Don't do any pop-ups in the checkout process, but absolutely do it on your cart page, okay? So just to kind of summarize, the most important, I think, for e-commerce would be the full screen overlay on exit. I'd start there. I love using the top hello bars. I think they're just amazing. And if it's a fit for you, the slide-ins and the entrance pop-ups can be effective, but I would tread lightly and make sure you're not overdoing it. And we gotta make sure that they look awesome on both mobile and desktop. And that's your e-commerce website, okay?
Hey, Jared.
Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking, I know we had a few people asking about actually showing in a Hello Bar. So I was going to say, I can share my screen because I have Hello Bar up. So since you're talking about it, I can actually they can see a visual of the exit if that sounds good to you.
I think
Sounds
that's
perfect.
great. Yeah, pull it up and fire it away. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That way, I know a few people were asking about just more of the visualization. Um, so Jared, I'll let you keep going, but I'm just in here, and for those of you who are asking like what the page takeover looks like, so when you're in Hello Bar and you go to style, you get to choose the option. And so what Jared was saying is the bar is one of the ones that he was saying works really well for him. The slider, which is that option, and you can just choose your theme. That's the slider. And then the page takeover. You can again choose your theme, and that's the page takeover. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, Lindsay, they look good.
Okay, cool. So Jared, I'll let you keep going. I just wanted to be able so people can actually see what you're talking about. That is what Jared's talking about. It's under style within Hello Bar.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I apologize. I probably should have done that myself. I just kind of got talking here, and Vignesh and I get really passionate
I
when
love
we
it.
get on these calls. So
that's why we got a whole team here for everyone. We're good.
yeah, so feel free to like show your screen and show examples as I talk if I kind of forget to do that.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome.
And take the screen share back as well whenever you need it.
All right, cool. Yeah, one thing I wanted to touch on before I get going is if your branding is not dialed in, that's one thing that can really contribute to making sure you're not overdoing it. In general, you should have some sort of like a branding scheme, and your website should be well put together and should look as good, at least, as the competitors you're trying to beat, right? So when you're serving creatives in a pop-up form, in a Hello Bar form, or this or that, you see we give you the option, okay, to change colors, image, text, so on and so forth. Let's make sure that it's on brand, because if you're using like too many different colors across different pop-ups and Hello Bars and slide-ins, and you're using colors that psychologically trigger your customer avatar in the wrong way, like red can often do that as a color, that's going to be something that contributes to people having a bad user experience and not wanting to sign up for your offers, okay? Your call to action is really important, okay? It should stick out. It should be a little different than everything else on the screen, like this Shop Now button. Like, that sticks out, right? But what I would say is if there's not really pink on the rest of the website, you may want to take a color that is used on the rest of the website and make it brighter instead of using the bright pink. Does that make sense? Awesome. So let's see here. Overdoing it and bad branding. Definitely stay away from that, right? So I want to talk a little bit about blogs and kind of how you want to handle those different, I guess I'd say. Because when people are visiting your e-commerce website, they're like there to buy something, hopefully, right? Well, if you are doing content marketing and you are writing blog articles and you are getting a lot of traffic to your blog, that's like a little bit different of a user. They're like readers. They're there to find out information, and they're probably not really looking to buy something right now. They're probably looking to solve a problem. And your goal is probably to create blog articles that attract these customers and create fans out of them and eventually customers out of them. So if we hit them right away with like discount offers and a bunch of like salesy e-commerce offers with pop-ups, that's probably really going to turn them off, okay? So in general, I do a complete different strategy with my pop-ups and Hello Bars on my blog as opposed to my e-commerce site. So when I'm offering my blog visitors a chance to sign up, generally I'm offering them some more content. I'm not even offering them a discount. I mean, they're there to read, So let's offer them something amazing that's free, like the free how-to guide or another free article that they can sign up for. Or maybe if they really liked your article, we just put like a hello bar on bottom. Like if they scroll down and read the whole article, they probably really liked it. So at the bottom, you can be like, sign up here to read more articles. And we send them more articles each month, right? So we really emphasize, we want to offer them something that gives them value and pays respect to why they're there. And then we tend to get more signups that way. And then obviously when we have a bigger email list and we created that trust over time, it's much easier to send them an offer to our e-commerce website and create a new customer out of them, right? So I would say that when you set up pop-ups, opt-ins, hello bars, and slide-ins on your blog, it's going to be a different approach and it's going to be a different ask. What would you say, Vignesh? I know you're really big into content marketing.
I would say there's a couple things. First off, I want to address, there's like questions flying in for us, Jared. So there's 2 points I want to address real quick before we get into that. So one of the things that people are asking is, can we demo the concepts we're talking about here to everyone who's listening? We are going to demo Jared's website and also the HelloBar interface as we're doing it. So you're going to see exactly everything we're talking about in action at the end after we're done with the conceptual walkthrough. Another thing is we're going to be sending out a recording of all of this. So you're going to have all of this with you in a recording format, so you can go back and listen to it. If you're missing anything, if you don't have to sit down and write and take notes, we're going to give you the recording. And it's going to be sent out by email after the call. Another thing we're going to do as well is we're going to give you what's called a cliff note. So we're going to give you like a summary of this entire call, so you can kind of go back and refer back to any of the concepts that you've missed or anything that seems technical. You can kind of go through the cliff notes, and it's going to give you a tremendous amount of insight on everything. So don't worry about like if you're not understanding some terminology here, we got you covered, right? Apart from that, in terms of the blog, what we're going to be doing, or what Neil likes to do, is he likes to have more of a visual exit intent. So one of the things that Neil loves to do, and Lindsay, if we could demo that, so it's going to be amazing. Is he
heading over there right now. Here it is.
We might have to switch the window. Lindsay, I'm still seeing the whole one.
Oh, you are? Okay, hold on one second. Let me stop my share and start it again.
Okay. So one of the things that Neil loves to do is a visual exit intent. So if you look, he has this breakdown of, he has a GIF in the background, okay? And it moves pretty much based on where you're at. It also gives you a headline that's really highly valuable. So if you look, it's not like a generic headline. It's something that's really valuable to the audience. So if you're in the SEO space, you do SEO or content marketing, if you see that, the simple tactic I used for ranking #1 for online marketing, that is huge, because ranking online for online marketing is really hard because you're competing against like full-time marketers, millions of them, and rank #1 for that is tremendously hard, but also meaningful. So that headline's not generic; it's really meaningful to the right person, right? And you also have like you don't have, like, if you look at the rest of it, it's not a generic sign-up form. So if you even look at the submit button, it basically says, yes, Neil, teach me how to grow my traffic. It's not saying submit, it's not send me information, it's yes, Neil. So it's asking them to engage with Neil personally, right? And we have a no thanks button, which also says, no thanks, I don't want more traffic, which is never the case. Everyone wants more traffic. That's just like, it's like pizza or money. You can never have enough. You know what I mean? So anyways, so yeah. Yeah, so with that said, I just wanted to kind of quickly demo that, Jared. But yeah, that's a visual representation of all the concepts we've been talking about in a blog format, I would say. And this, as you can see, it's inside Neil's blog, so it works.
Yeah, you know what? Another cool thing I thought of is with that exit overlay you're showing. That's like the perfect example, because it's on brand. Like the colors are on brand, the CTA stuck out, and the offer was amazing. And kind of where I'm going with this is, obviously we will show more examples, but ultimately if you sign up for your competitors, email list, and if you're on their website and you kind of go back and delete your cache and cookies, and you follow people like Neil Patel, go on their websites and see what they're doing. I mean, that's kind of how I get my new ideas, And the fact that you're on this call means that you want to learn, right? And so definitely put in that due diligence, because you're going to learn a lot in the meantime. You've got to know someone like Neil Patel has tested that exit overlay like several times over several years, So it's like you're going to get an amazing head start just by paying attention to what your competitors are doing and what the best guys in the space are doing, right? So awesome. Vignesh, that was killer. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Not in the blog section, but I do have other stuff to add for sure.
Love it. So a couple more things I'm going to go through, and then we're going to kind of start going through some examples and going through some of our own site and answering some questions. But, one thing that I wanted to touch on before we did that was confirmation pages. So generally with like Hello Bar, if you upgrade to, I think, a certain level, you can redirect anyone who signs up for your list to a confirmation page. This is always my preferred tactic, depending on where they are in the website. What people forget is if they just sign up on your email list, they're obviously interested in something, okay? And they obviously like you. So that's like, you just won part A, okay? But part B is, let's send them to a page that kind of gets them in a little bit deeper, okay? So on these confirmation pages, generally what I like to do on my e-commerce website is I actually make them an offer, okay? So like the confirmation page is a place where you can build a deeper emotional connection with the customer. You can like give them an upsell offer or even a downsell offer. Or, say you want to do a confirmation page on one of your blog signups, you can actually show them a video that you made about yourself. And if they're into your blog, they kind of want to watch the video. And after they watch the video, they're like your biggest fan, right? So a lot of people look over these confirmation pages and just put a little text on there that says, "Thank you, we've received your email." Don't do that. Like, take some time to like make a video, create an upsell offer, and create a really cool page, because this is a key touch point that people often overlook. What you don't want to do is draw people away from the sales process. So if you are collecting emails in a location on your website where you want them to keep shopping, you probably don't want to redirect them to a URL that will distract them, right? So keep that in mind, okay? And I believe Hello Bar has the option both to redirect to a URL or to show a custom message. So in that case, you may just want to show a custom message and let them keep going on their way. So I hope that makes sense. But what I would say is, in general, with e-commerce, what I do is I redirect to a confirmation page, and I utilize it as a point to build a stronger fan, a stronger emotional connection, or to create a special offer, special upsell, and try to increase my average order size or increase my conversion rate, okay? So with that said, Vignesh, that's kind of like the spiel that I wanted to go through today. I wanted to make sure we answered a bunch of questions and showed a bunch of demos and so on and so forth. I mean, how does that sound?
Sounds awesome, Jared. So a bunch of people have asked us, I believe. So far, we have like 3 or 4 people asking us, can we see a demo? Can you show us, or can we show, can we see the store? Can we see this in action? So on and so forth. Some people have also asked us, can Hello Bar be used for e-commerce? Can it also be used for advertising? So that question comes from Lauren. So what would you answer to that, my friend?
I'd say if you're not using Hello Bar for e-commerce, you're crazy. Because at the very least, using that top bar for your sales that you run, your sales and promotion, I've never run a split test where that didn't increase conversion. It always increases conversion for me. So if you are running an e-commerce store, absolutely use Hello Bar. And I particularly love it for the exit full screen overlays, like the example we showed you on Neil's site, and for the top and bottom bars. But there was another question about advertising, and I'm not sure if I understood it.
I think Lauren was asking if it could be on an advertising site. Is that right, Vignesh?
Yeah, I believe so. More like an agency consulting
Yeah, can it be
environment.
used for advertising business also?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, you're going to use it if you're in like a lead generation type of business like this, an agency and so on and so forth. Like, you're obviously going to want to use them in a little different ways than e-commerce. But a lot of people, you know, they aren't aware that you can kind of use it no matter what your business is. You know, if it's a service-based business, if it's an over-the-counter type of business, e-commerce business, right? If it's a lead gen business, you know, they really designed this product to work across multiple types of businesses. So absolutely you can, yes. Vignesh, did I answer those questions properly?
Yes, I think so. Lindsay, there's another question I think that's directed towards you, which is Jordan asks, I use the standard bar, so I'm not sure how to trigger modals and page takeovers based on specific actions and intent,
Yep.
such as going to close the page. Could we maybe show Jordan how that's done?
Yeah, definitely. So I thought I'd show a quick tutorial of how to create and do everything Jared was saying, and then we can answer the rest of the questions, and Jared can show any examples as well. So Jordan, to answer your question, so you guys, when you go into Hello Bar, the first step you do is create new, and then you're prompted for a goal. So I know Jared talked about, you know, you can grow your email list if that's your goal. If your goal is to potentially promote a sale or a discount, you could hit that goal. These are the two main goals that we use in here. The main difference is the call to action button will, if you hit promote or sale, it'll be a click goal, meaning that when you click the call to action button, it'll take you to a site that you select. If you do grow your mailing list, then you'll actually, you know, actually be able to collect emails. So Jordan, when you go in here, once you select what your goal is, we'll just do grow your email list. So you'd put what you want your Hello Bar to say, you want your button to say. You'd hit continue, and then you can change your type. So we talked a lot about page takeover, so I'll show you that specifically. However, like I mentioned earlier, you can always choose a slider. Jared talked a lot about a bar, so that would be the bar. And you know, the slider is the one that slides out on the side that I showed you earlier. But so the page takeover, which Jared was talking about, you would select which page takeover you want. So you'd select your theme. Then Jordan, when it displays is where you would be able to show it upon exit. So you have a few options. You can show it 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30, 60. So as Jared was saying, really looking at your Google Analytics, figuring out what people are doing on your pages, then you can determine when to deploy these. So this is considered a full page takeover, meaning it takes over the entire page. So it's not just a modal in the middle. There is an X if people want to get out of it. So Jordan, if you wanted it to be when people leave, you would hit user intends to leave. What happens then is when someone hits the URL bar, meaning their intent is to leave, that is when it deploys. So that's what you would choose for that option. And then like Jared said earlier, if you're on a blog and you have a blog site, so you know that people are scrolling through your pages, you could choose after scrolling to the bottom or after scrolling to the middle or after scrolling a little. If you're noticing that perhaps people are staying on your page for a certain amount of time, you could certainly do a delay. So that's how you do the page takeover. And then the thank you message Jared was talking about, again, this is not in the free version, it is in the pro version, which is our $15 a month version. You can either show a default message, you can create the custom message like he was saying, where you would just type directly in here, or you can do redirect the visitor to a URL. And that's if you would create a site on your, or a page on your site saying, you know, having an upsell or having a video upsell or whatever you may. So that's where you can actually do the URL. And then you can change all of your colors in here. Image, you can certainly change your image. And then if you click off, you would put your image in here, and you could put your GIF in here. For those of you that want to do an animated GIF, you would just have to have it made, and you can pop it in here. So those are just the options. And then once you hit next, then you're able to save and publish. So that's just a little quick demo. The other thing to note is if you are doing email, you will have to connect your email account to HelloBar. So you would just hit create a new list, and based on what you're currently using for emails, you would connect it through there. That way, when you collect the email, it gets into your email list. So that's a high level overview, but hopefully that gives an example of some of the things that Jared has gone through today. Cool.
One of the things, Lindsay, that I think we should show them is the custom rules as well. Because, for example, one of the things Jared discussed was the Valentine's Day, bar, and that I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So great call, Vignesh. So one of the other options, it isn't available in the free version, but for those of you who are in Pro or interested in Pro, our targeting feature is in there. And so this is where you get to start getting into the nitty gritty and just showing certain messages on certain pages. So Jared was talking about earlier that a lot of websites, are seeing ton of mobile traffic, 60 to 70%. So perhaps you maybe just want to show these pop-ups on mobile because that's who your main visitors are. If you were to do that, you would just hit mobile and that's who it would show the pop-up to. So when you get to the targeting section, you can select who you want to see your pop-up. So you can select everyone, mobile, homepage visitors if you just want it on your homepage, or a custom rule. Oftentimes we use the custom rule. And the reason why is how we like to test HelloBar is we usually select 3 to 5 of our top pages, meaning our highest traffic pages. We know they've got a lot of people coming to them, a lot of volume, so it gives us a really good test pool. We test custom text messages on there. Then once we find okay, these tests are doing really, really well, then we deploy them on the site. So that's when targeting really comes in and can really support you, as Jared was mentioning earlier. So in order to target, you just simply hit the plus button. So let's say this is our Valentine's Day sale, right? And we only want it on certain pages. So there's many different targeting options. I don't want to go too far in the weeds because I want to make sure that we have time for Q&A with Jared, but this just gives you an idea of what you can do in the targeting. So if you have certain ad campaigns going and you want to make sure after somebody has seen an ad that they get a custom message, you can certainly target based on the ad campaign, because I know that's a big one to ensure on the customer journey, they're getting the same messaging along the way. And as Jared said, based on where they are in the journey and where your traffic is coming from, every person may be different. If you have paid traffic, it's more cold of a lead. They don't know you. They may not be ready to buy. So you may want a different messaging than, hey, here's a discount, go ahead and buy. So you can certainly do it by ad campaign. You can definitely do it by city, country. So if you want to target people from a certain city, perhaps you find when you're looking in your analytics that you have a ton of people coming from this city or that city, you could serve a message that says, hey, welcome my crew from Las Vegas. So thankful to have you on the site. Really just getting into showing that you actually know them and who they are. Personalization is huge and it does increase conversion significantly. Country, you can also do dates. So for the Valentine's Day promotion, maybe you only want it to be on February 14th. So you would just select the date and the date you would put what the date is. Okay. Days since last visit. So how many days since the last visit? This could be something where you could actually reward people for loyalty. Device. So as Jared was saying earlier, mobile, tablet, or computer. So if you find you have a significant amount of mobile traffic, you can certainly use this. Every sessions. So how many sessions since they've been there, or you show them to them every 5 times or something. Number of visits, pretty self-explanatory. So the main one that we use here is actually the URL path. And what we do is we'd say the URL path is, and we'd put the actual live URL that we want to show the message on, or the URL path includes. So for our bloggers out there that Jared was speaking to, maybe you want to show a certain message on any blog, right? It's any URL that has the /blog in it. So you would just say /blog. And then any URL that has /blog would show them this pop-up. So that's one of the last things you're prompted to do is actually do the targeting. And then once you've done your targeting, what you'll notice when you go back to the main screen in HelloBar, it's organized by targeting. So these are the messages that are going to be showed to the homepage visitors. These are the messages that are going to be showed to these Valentine's Day visitors. So yeah, that's the targeting in a total quick nutshell.
So that was awesome. Yeah. So what I would say is Hello Bar can pretty much do whatever you want, right? So like, kind of what I was thinking while she was talking, Vignesh, is, well, two things really. If you guys haven't tried heat mapping on your website, I think it might be a good time after you get the Hello Bar tool up and running. Because like when she was setting up one of her pop-ups, there was an option to delay it, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. So one of the things you can do with a heat mapping piece of software like Crazy Egg, which is an awesome tool, is you can actually see how far people are scrolling down the page, like what they're clicking on. And with Google Analytics, you can see how long people are staying on your site. So what I challenge you to do is actually segment those reports into the people that are actually becoming customers. I want to know what their behavior is like, because what you can actually do is kind of delay the pop-up. If you know people that are not interested or leaving in the first 20 seconds, well, let's serve that pop-up after 30. You know what I mean? So I think that can be a really valuable practice with heat mapping and e-commerce. The only thing I wanted to mention is, and we haven't really talked about this yet, site speed, okay? Like when you're setting up pop-ups and when you're setting up pieces of software like Crazy Egg, and when you're making changes on your pages, make sure you're paying attention to the site speed of that page, specifically for mobile, right? Because if your page is taking too long to load, then it's going to affect how many emails you're going to be able to collect as well, right? So as we're adding pop-ups and software and making changes to pages, make sure you're not slowing down the load time too much, because that could be a major issue as well, right? Vignesh, what did you want to add to that?
I would say you might want to tell them, Jared, was the ideal load time for an e-commerce website, because that's a huge point that we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Site speed test. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay.
I will stop my share so you can share.
Yeah.
Share.
Cool.
Let's see. So, no, not that one. I think I want this one. Boom. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Yes, Jared.
All right, cool. So like running a speed test, it's not the best tool in the world, but Google does offer a free tool. So hellobar.com, you can type any website in here, and it usually like takes a little bit of time, but it's going to give you free results for how fast that particular page is loading. Okay. So if we just wait here, sometimes it takes 30 seconds or so. This is a free test that tells you on both mobile and desktop how you are loading. And to answer your question directly, Vignesh, if you're below 70, it's probably not good. Okay. And so like, this is actually really good because you're up in the green. I've seen some websites score 99 out of 100. If you're e-commerce, I tried to shoot for 70 and above. If you need a more drastic tool, go with something that's called Pingdom. I'll just spell it. And this is like where you start getting really technical, okay? And it gives you more examples of what you can do to fix the page. But in general, what really screws up website pages are external scripts. And that's generally like when you add apps and plugins and software. So there's ways to add those that will speed up your site, and there's ways to add those that will slow down your site. So you just want to work with your developer on that. And then the other thing really is like compressing images, compressing file sizes. So like mostly images and files, if you can get those sizes down as well, that can also help speed up pages. Did that answer your question, Vignesh?
Yes, I think that is pretty accurate, Jared and Epic. I think next thing we should do is we should move on to like a site demo for your site.
Yeah, you guys, we're about at time right now, so I think if we could do that and make sure to answer Jared's question as well. For those of you that are able to stay a few minutes over, I want to make sure that we show this.
Oh man,
I know, right? I'm a time
sorry
limiter.
about that.
No, it's okay. I just want to I definitely want to show Jared's site. And then I know that we had a question from Jordan. So I want to make sure we answer that as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I apologize if I was a little long-winded. I just get really passionate about all this stuff. And
no,
so
don't apologize. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. You tell me what you want me to do first, and I will do it. I can demo our site. I can answer questions, whatever you want.
Yep.
Why don't we answer Jordan's question real quick, and then why don't you give a quick demo of your site? So Jordan had said, we've been talking about intrusive versus unintrusive customer experience. I personally find the no, I don't want X more sales customer % off opt-out message on modals to be passive aggressive at best and annoying at their worst. Is there A/B testing to show otherwise? I think it's a great question because it's popping up a lot right now.
And I want to make sure I understood the question. Jordan's asking, is there A/B testing to do what?
So is there any testing showing whether these whole no, I don't want more traffic, or no, I don't want this is working or not working? Because it's he's saying that it feels a little passive aggressive and kind of intrusive. The whole concept of having the yes no question. So wondering if you have any thoughts on that.
So we do split testing in two different ways. Number one, we split test whether any particular pop-up should be served or should not be served at all, okay? I don't believe you can do that with Hello Bar. We use external split testing software, something like a convert.com and optimizely.com, a virtual website optimizer.com. And we send different customers to two different pages. One of them has the pop-up, one of them doesn't have the pop-up. That data tells us whether we're being too intrusive to affect our sales or to affect time on site and engagement. So that solves the issue for us of should we have this pop-up or should we not, okay? Then the second split test we do run is within Hello Bar. So once we figure out that they do like the pop-up, as long as it supports the overall goal of our business and our store, then we test the messaging. And that's where you can figure out which messaging actually causes the customer to want to sign up more so than the other. Did that answer the question?
Yep, it did, Jared. One thing I want to add to that is I've been doing this a really long time when it comes to collecting leads and just building lead generation campaigns, so on and so forth. The answer is, Jordan, from my testing, and that has tens of millions of dollars of ad spend behind it. Anytime you have something like submit or something really generic, the conversion is not that high, right? At least in this day and age. If you go back to 2010, yes, submit was pretty acceptable at that point. But now it's 2018. People prefer personalization. People prefer something that jumps out of the page, right? So from my testing, this is just from last couple of years of testing, which is by having a personalized call to action on the button, it increases your submit rate by anywhere from 2 times to 3 times, with nothing else changed on the page. This differs if you're doing an exit intent on Hello Bar, but from normal testing on lead generation pages, it's increased signups by 2 to 3x. So if you were getting 100 leads before, you are getting another 100 or 200 extra leads that you were not getting before. That's why you see that everywhere now, because it works. So I just wanted to kind of drop that in there.
Love it. Awesome. Are there more questions that we can go over, or do you want me to do the site demo? What are you guys thinking?
I think we're good on the questions for now, Jared. I think we're over time, so let's do a demo now.
Sweet. All right. So here is one of my websites, skincarebyelena.com. It's more of a marketplace where we sell our own brand and 200 other brands of skincare products over a shopping cart. It is a Magento shopping cart, and this business has been around for over 13 years, I think now. Here is also our skincare brand website. As you can see, it's a little different. I'm going to talk about this one a little bit, but not as much. More so, I'm going to focus on the marketplace website because we have way more pop-ups on this website and more methods of email acquisition because it is a marketplace site. So we can be a little more intrusive. With the brand, I think if we have anything set up, it's probably just an exit pop-up for now. So it's very much, we want them to sign up if they want emails. Other than that, we just want them to fall in love with us. So starting with my website, this is actually my entrance pop-up that will appear. And this is the one that gains about 1,500 emails a month, right? Very profitable for us. And it usually fires about 10 seconds after you load the site. For now, you're probably not going to see it fire for me because I'm probably already cookied on the website, right? So just letting you know, it kind of appears here in this nice, cool circle, and it works really awesome for us. And like I said before, we don't have it running right now, but usually we have a hello bar running at the top when there is a big sale. And we all know what it looks like. We just list what the offers are, 10% off orders over, $100 and sign up here for the code, that sort of thing. So it's a really cool feature that we use every time there's a sale. Love the customization options on Hello Bar. And then lastly, we always, and people kind of forget to do this, we always offer a place in the footer where people can sign up because a lot of our customers get a little bit older and they're just kind of used to the traditional, oh, where do I sign up for emails? Don't forget about this. Put an email sign up in your footer for sure. Another thing that we do is the slide in on the brands page. So how we do ours is a lower left-hand side pop-up. Oh gosh. The problem is we do a lot of split testing. So it could be something that we're split testing right now. Let's see if I can get it to fire. There we go. All right, awesome. We can see that on the lower left-hand side. And one thing that I wanted to point out is the customization here. Every single brand you go to on the website, in the pop-up, we actually coded it to list that specific brand. For whatever reason, when we changed the CTA messaging, it actually doesn't do us much good. I'm probably going to retest that soon, but we have the boring submit there. I absolutely agree with Vignesh though. Personalize it, For whatever reason, when we added the actual skincare line to the slide in, it greatly increased conversion, right? So, and then lastly, generally, one thing that I did that really, really increased our sales is when I actually went ahead and found that I was losing, like most e-commerce store owners, losing a lot of people on my cart page. I fired the exit pop-up on my cart page, and I'll show you the offer. I'm going to view cart and check out. A little side note for y'all. You're going to notice that I actually installed what's called a pre-purchase order bump page in between my add to cart and my cart page. This is actually something really cool. So kind of write this down maybe for later. So once the customer actually gets to the cart and tries to exit, I don't think I'll get it, but I can show you the actual pop-up that comes up here. Let's see here. Haha, there it is. Okay. So what you'll notice about this pop-up is it does have a personalized CTA. We do have some texture here in the upper left, which is kind of like skincare-ish or beauty-ish, right? It's the bubbles, like cleansing your face. We have some great messaging. And then check out this picture. Oh, by the way, this is my wife. I never mentioned that, but check out this picture of my wife. She's totally shocked, right? So this is a very successful pop-up for us. It recovers a lot of sales when people abandon our cart page. And it's very much a pattern interrupt that works very well for us. So you can go crazy on these exit and entrance pop-ups to really connect and capture your audience. Anything that you wanted to add to that, Vignesh?
No, I think that's pretty epic, Jared. You covered something really awesome right there.
Did you want me to go into the blog? I didn't want to go too far over time.
I don't think we need to. I think we showed them the blog exit on neilpatel.com, so I think we're good.
Beautiful. Well, in that case, unless you want me to show more demos or answer more questions, just let me know.
I think we're good. So I think we're good on time, right, Lindsay?
Yeah, Jared, I really appreciate your time, and Vignesh, thank you, you too. And for those of you on, if there's questions that you didn't get answered, feel free to fire them away at me. I put my email address in the chat. I'm happy to send them off to Jared or Vignesh as well, and then you'll get a recording as well as Vignesh mentioned, some cliff notes, and then we can include anything else in there, Jared or Vignesh, that you want to include to make sure we get everyone taken care of. But thank you guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you everyone for showing up today. And we appreciate you being a part of this training. And Jared, Vignesh, thank you guys. And we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you guys next Thursday.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Awesome.
Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye for now.